Okay. The time is 5:22 p.m. on Saturday, August
Oh,
7th,
wow.
2021. You're listening to Eric on the World. I am your host, Eric, and I'm so excited because today we have a guest back on the show. My friend Maila is here. Hello.
Hi.
Um, so we met, well, we really just met in real life like a week ago. Um, but we've had
Yeah.
class with each other at
Since
FU
October, right? Yeah.
since October. We had German class, yeah,
Yeah.
and then we had comedy class with Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing when we met because like you feel like you kind of know this person even though you've never
Yeah. But
actually.
also, like, we met in class, but many people I met in class, but we also talked a lot, like during class. Like we exchanged like comments, like we gossip a lot, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, just like setting some WhatsApp commentary between each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
y-
So this also I kind of grew like the bond is different than the other students that I interact in class is
yeah,
like online class. It's really hard to meet people in online classes. Like I think everybody's learning this now,
yeah, yeah.
and I
Uh,
think because of German, maybe because of we starting a German class where we talk more. I guess I don't know.
yeah. I have a question. Are you recording from your laptop?
No,
Are you on your phone?
I'm on. What? No, I'm on my lap. No, I am on my laptop.
Oh no,
Yeah.
just because the camera is like jiggling like this, I wasn't
Oh, so
sure.
maybe the table is shaking. So should we start again?
Nah, it's okay. This will be real, behind the scenes fascinating for the.
Are you cutting this?
I don't
Maybe.
know. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's all good. I just figured I might as well say the camera thing now rather than later.
I will
Um.
stop touching the table. Maybe it will help. I will really. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did it stop? Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So you're also living in Berlin,
Yeah.
and for how long?
Almost 3. October will be 3 years.
Okay, so actually not like super long.
No, I was before I was living in Portugal for 2 years.
Yeah,
So I moved uh, from Brazil in 2016.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like is that I mean obviously because of the language is that like the place that Brazilians go is Portugal?
Many do. Yeah. I for me it was a kind of a coincidence because I was looking. Do you want to know this story? I can tell you how I
Yeah,
ended up here in the
yeah.
end.
Let's do it.
So I had this corporate job, very depressing, in and I was really like feeling like, oh, sorry. Hi, this is Gola, guys.
Go
My
Gola
cat.
guy?
Gola, Gola,
What
Gola.
what does Gola
Yes.
mean?
Gola means collar in Portuguese,
Okay.
and he has a little black tie collar.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, bye. So I went to I decided to quit. So I actually begged my boss to fire me so I would get a good severance and then have time to think about things.
And was like they're
And
cool with that?
it was a long process. I had to wait like 5.5 months, but
But like your
I
boss
was
is like
fired.
totally like
My boss
yeah.
knew I like this was like the most awkward Zoom call of my life. Like we were in a meeting and then I started crying because we were like in different parts of Brazil. We traveled a lot, both of us, my boss and I,
Yeah.
and we were like very far away from each other. And then I asked for a meeting and then I started crying and I said, look, I'm so unhappy. I cannot begin to explain. Can you fire me? I have no plan B.
Yeah.
And she says, look, I'm surprised. I can see you're miserable, blah, blah, blah. You have to give me time. Because it was a big corporation, she needed to approve a new person, a new spot in my department to hire someone before she fired me. So this took a long time. It was a long process. But I
Right.
waited. I waited and it really paid off. And then I went on like a 40-day vacation because I had taken only in 2 years in the corporation. I took only like 10 days vacation. And it was really like a 10-day vacation. It was really, really, I was stressed. So I just traveled for 40 days. And then I was in Paris visiting my best friend, and there I found like, oh, the maybe I should come here because my best friend lives here. I should try to come here. And then, oh, why not a master's? Because Paris 8 is free, and but I don't speak French, so I had to go to Brazil, learn French, and then apply for the master's.
That's so funny.
I saw that was not very practical, so then I started googling masters somewhere else, and then I applied for that, but then they said my language skills were not enough because because I'm so old, my English certificate was very old as well. It was from 2003, and they said no, this way it has to be only 2 years old, like the certificate of language proof.
Wait,
And then
so Germany
to
though
ask,
was like Germany was more feasible than France because like Berlin has so many
because
English
I
speakers.
found no, because I found this course that didn't require German.
I see. Okay.
So the course that I wanted to take here didn't require German as like a proficient German, even though I had zero. Like, and then so I said, well, I started googling like all like gender, all the courses that would approach gender that would be in English, Spanish, or Portuguese. Like these would be the three languages I could handle.
Yeah.
So I found this one, and then I found the one in Portugal, and because my whole like portfolio was ready, it was very easy to apply to Portugal because they don't require language proficiency. Of course, I am Brazilian. I am part of the community of Portuguese speaking countries. So I was accepted in Portugal. And then I wrote an email here, said, look, you said my language skills are not sufficient. Can I just do a test now and I come in October? And then they said, oh, no, but we can hold your application for a year. And then you just send it next year. And then I said, well, I just now then decided to take, this took like 2 months, this exchange of emails. And I said, I just accepted a place in Portugal. Oh, so we hold for you for 2 years. And then they did. And then I took like the master's classes in Portugal. I didn't like Portugal so much. And then I decided to come here to do the second master's. Yes.
So you're working on, you already have a master's.
So I came here and I wasn't done yet with the Portuguese master. So I finished the Portuguese master's here.
Yeah.
I wrote a thesis while I was taking my first year here in Berlin.
I have friends. I have multiple friends who've traveled like the whole world, like spent a year doing this and stuff. And I've had multiple people say that Portugal's their favorite country. What is it? I've never been. What is it that you don't like about it?
Oh, is the podcast going to be only about this?
No.
I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's just I have to say disclosure now. I mean, people I had good parts of the Brazil to me.
Just FYI, this German
like
internet. The German internet really.
Oh wait, I have a cable. I can try to do the cable thing.
I'm guessing it might be my internet, not yours, but we can.
Mine said is also unstable. I don't know. I missed the prefix here. Maybe I can turn off. Maybe I disappear a little bit.
Okay, I believe. Yeah, I'll rant to myself. I got stuff to talk about.
Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still here.
So okay, the Wi-Fi is off, and now I have the cable thing.
Okay, cool.
So what happened, like for me, so Portugal for me is like this countryside Brazil. Everybody is very provincial, very conservative, lots of sexism, especially towards Brazilian women. And I have to confess, I knew nothing about Portugal. Like I was never very connected to Portuguese culture. And when I got there, I was learning everything. So the first 4 months was pretty exciting. Like I was really learning things and finding everybody so friendly, and everybody would make like Brazilian accents. So to help me understand, because in the beginning I wouldn't understand their accent because it's super different from our, They close more their mouths. They don't say the vowel so much as we do.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, everybody seemed nice, but then in this niceness, I found a lot of hidden colonial history.
Okay. Okay.
So then you start meeting people who, like, I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for so many years, and there I found out they would never hire me because I'm Brazilian, because I don't speak Portuguese, because like I wanted to do this tutoring thing. I would help students. Oh no, but you are Brazilian, your education is so different. How can you teach the wrong Portuguese? Like there's a lot of like little like it's not, this is like the general idea. There's even like the cool Portuguese people think that. Like, oh, but you speak like Brazilian, you don't speak Portuguese. Like they have this whole rejection, even though they consume our culture so much, like music and soap operas and everything.
Yeah.
And then there's like general like male female relationship there. It's really like, for me, it wasn't a very, I gave many chances really many chances, but then it was a big fail. Like I maybe met one or two people that I really thought were good people, and then the rest were really like either mediocre or like racist or xenophobic or like lots of like the sample was not, or treated Brazilian women like easy sex, which is a common thing around the world, but there it's more intense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to me, like, because I know like people talk shit on America, like the U.S. a lot, but like, I just feel like the U.S. is like truly a melting pot. There's so many different like cultures and races there and stuff. They're like, you end up getting a lot of visible conflict. But like you talk about, I don't know, just like racism with, let's say, black people in Germany. It's like there's like literally less than 1% of the population here is black. So it's like you can be like, oh, we don't have so much of a problem, but it's like you just don't have black people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's not the
yeah, I
incidence
think
for
there's
it to
a
like.
big thing. I think this is like this unawareness is because they don't discuss this. They only discuss Second World War in school, so nobody else is aware of, no German people is aware of any other problems they have,
Yeah.
because they don't discuss it. They are so obsessed with Second World War. Everybody knows everything about Second World War, but they don't know anything about anything else.
Yeah.
And there is a big movement here, like, or changing, like acknowledging the colonial past of Germany. Like there's lots of things going on, decolonizing the thought and blah blah blah. But this is a very underground thing because people are really unaware of how much. Like I've heard stories like of uh, like German people that grew up in the countryside of Bavaria, whatever, and this person telling me, I remember the first time I saw a black person in the street, and people were pointing at them, like, and it was just like, and it's pretty shocking. So it's pretty open and obvious. Brazil is also a melting pot. There's lots of systemic racism there and very intense. And for a long time, the discourse there was like, no, we are such a mixed culture. We have no racism. But finally now, I think people are discussing like, okay, like we are, it's just, I guess, a global trend of like starting really discussing how every white person is racist at some level. And then you have just to deconstruct and acknowledge, blah, blah, all these things.
I think, I think there's just, I mean, because of like, I guess the influence and like, I mean, the U.S. like puts its stamp on everything. Like, obviously there's more attention paid to it, but like when I was in Southeast Asia, like they hate Chinese people, like, and very openly, do you know what I mean? And it's like, because they have their own issues with like, the Chinese buying up a lot of land and kind of coming in as these like tourists that just like, in their, opinion, kind of destroy everything. And like, but
the oppressors deserve to be hated, no?
No, but I mean, I just think like the U.S. gets a lot of focus because of its prominence in the world. But like when I was in
but why is it prominent? Because they are the oppressors. They finance lots of coup d'etat. They finance everything that's going on. So that's why they hate it.
Yeah, but like
and
when
they are super self-centered, and many American people are not aware of what the United States do in other countries. So I guess this is why you get so much shit.
Well,
The
this is
with power comes this
well, no,
kind of.
no. What I'm saying is like, I would like in the Netherlands, like there, like I met people who were like Trump supporters, and
Oh yeah,
it's like,
it's
oh, but we're the
everywhere in
Netherlands.
the
We're,
world.
we're the Netherlands. We can't be conservative, and we're so progressive, and like even like last night, like I said, like I wasn't allowed into a club almost because I was a man, and this happened in Barcelona too. Like it's like, oh, we're so progressive, but the gender, even in fucking Berlin, like the gender roles are so set, and like what's important is that we have more women in this club. And this was a trans woman telling me this, which is like
So,
very
but
funny to
there are
me.
some. I don't know. Did you notice like the 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 people there, like who went? Because there are some parties that have the rule that straight men don't go. Like this is the thing. Like if you are too straight, you don't go in. Like it's like female, lesbian, femme, lesbian, flint. I think they say
Uh,
non-binary, trans,
that's not what this
intersex.
was. That's not what this
Ah, okay,
was. They wanted to make it
more
more
women.
appealing by having women in there. Yeah, and same in Barcelona, and same that happened in Paris as well. Like, so that would you would be it would be so rare, and like I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that's the exception, not the rule in like the states. They might have like
Mm.
a ladies drink free or ladies night or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
In Brazil, it used to be quite common also, like this kind of like women pay less than men, so it's
But
cheaper for women to get in, and
but
they
that's
all
part of the
come.
like that's the fucking patriarchy too, because the
Yeah,
whole it's not to help women out, it's because guys want to fuck women, and so they want women
yeah,
in there, and the
mm,
men buy drinks and the men buy the women drinks, and like
yeah.
it's
When I was in university a long time ago, like my BA, I remember the engineering school doing parties together with the philology, like English, Portuguese, all the language philology.
yeah.
We call it letters in Portuguese. Letras. They would do the parties together because of the percentage of men and women, just to have like a good balance of female and male. Like this is, yeah, very. It is a common practice, I guess.
Yeah, I really, I don't know, I'm not sure if you recall this or not, but like we talked about this at the jungle party where we met.
I won't remember. I was
Okay,
really
we
trying.
talked a lot about gender stuff.
Yeah, I kind of remember the beginning of the
Yeah.
conversation.
So I,
Yeah.
I have a problem with this whole like no straight men allowed thing. And there's a couple reasons why. One, I
Mm.
think we've gotten when I was younger, when I was like 20 and I was at UC Berkeley and very like considered myself liberal, and this term meant something, it's come to mean something different now, but like progressive. That meant like every like let's break down walls and let's like come together and like let's get along, and identity is not we shouldn't be putting boxes around people. And there's been this like culture shift in like the last 10 years to like now it's super important to know how you identify and who you are and what is your race and
Yeah.
what is your sexuality. I need to know. It's very important. And it's like
Yeah.
what the fuck, like I don't know. I first of all, saying things like straight, like I don't think that that's so cut and dry for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And I also think that, so I have an example of like, I had a best friend in San Francisco who was gay. We would go out all the time together. He would come to bars. We don't really, I mean, like, there are straight and gay bars in San Francisco, but it's mixed. Like, everybody is welcome. And I like that philosophy. So if my friend wanted to hang out with his best friend at the bar, I was allowed into the gay bar. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And if he wanted
Yeah.
to, like,
I think I think I think that I understand what you're saying. Everybody's allowed, everybody's welcome, but there is a group of people that were really oppressed by straight male patriarchy in general, and some places want. It's not what happened to you yesterday, okay? I'm talking about different kind of party. That a place without straight men would be a safer place. They would feel safe. They feel safer because they usually fetishized by the same straight man, and it's just like I have friends, girlfriends that are straight, but sometimes they go to these kind of parties where only queer people is allowed, just to feel freer. not to be sexualized all the time, and maybe there is not only that. This is one aspect of this kind of gatherings, I guess. So I there is a little bit of enemy, like in a big group of straight men for many people.
Yeah, I guess if that's the world we want to like live in, is that it's like a constantly like this battle of the sexes. Like, I don't think that that's progress, though. I
No,
think that
I
that's
don't.
just
Yeah, but I think this is the thing. Like, you think like one friend of mine, and I had this discussion before. But this is the thing. Like, you want to skip steps. You're skipping steps. Like,
no, I don't want to skip
no,
steps.
you think you because you lived in San Francisco, you had the experience of like a different kind of open-mindedness that is not everywhere.
So I'll
So
tell
there
you.
is a big exercise before we get to the place where everybody is welcome again
So let me tell you a
for the first
story
time.
that I got in a lot of trouble for in Chicago.
Okay, there he goes. Funny
Chicago,
story. It starts like this. Funny story.
Chicago, and I had a lot of run-ins with each other. I there's the biggest kink festival in the world is called Folsom Street Fair in San Francisco, and this will really illustrate the difference between San Francisco and Chicago. It is literally an open air they close off like, like 4 to 6 city blocks, and you will see everything from guys pissing in each other's mouths to whips and bondage and bleeding. I mean, like full on nudity. If you go into the bars, there's full on fucking. I mean, sometimes you'll see fucking in like the alleyways. I saw a guy on a roof like jacking off onto these people down below with their mouths
Okay.
open. Meanwhile, like a mom is like eating a bagel, holding her baby. Like it's all in the open. Like nudity is legal. This is San Francisco. Chicago has what they call the biggest leather event. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's called International Mr. Leather. And it's inside a hotel. They have security guards where, like, if you go in, like, you have to prove that you have a ticket. It's very secretive in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to have the sex podcast, and I got, like, a press badge to go there. And I brought this girl that I was dating at the time. And there was like these 2 gay guys in the lobby. Basically, the whole hotel is taken over by this festival, and they said, "We're going to a party. Do you want to come with us?" To both me and the woman I was with. I mean, very clearly, like she was with me. We were standing right next. We were talking with all of them. So we said sure, and so we got invited up to like the 14th floor or something, at the top floor, and it was basically like a play party, like a sex party, like. Lights were out. So she and I went in there. And I mean, it was really dark. But yeah, I mean, there was fucking and sucking and all that kind of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, my friend was told that she had to leave. And, why? Because she's a woman. And.
Oh, she was told. Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I mean, again, we were invited by these 2 people, but like once you got in there was like 80 guys, like, you couldn't. And I said, why? And she said, because she's a woman. And I, in my like, I get very indignant and like irate. And I was like, what, so is a trans person allowed in here? Is a trans man allowed in here? And the guy said, this isn't a place for women, trans people, or anything in between. This is a place for men. And
Okay.
we got kicked out, and I wrote about it. And then, do you know who Dan Savage is?
Yeah.
He's like a famous sex
Yeah.
writer. He happened to be, and he had been on my podcast before, and he happened to be in the hotel room across the hall, and I had seen him, and we didn't know each other like that. But I was like, oh my God, it's Dan Savage again. I wrote about this. It blew up. The leather community in Chicago like went after me and was like, of course, like, women aren't allowed to a gay sex party. And I was like, well, first of all, we were fucking invited. Like, what are we supposed to know that we're not allowed when we were invited? And second of all, I think that this causes a big issue with, like, in terms of inclusivity. Like, okay, so yeah, what defines a man? Who's allowed? Who's not? And like, I don't know. So I have a big problem with this. Like, and who's to say, anyway, I mean,
Yeah, it's funny because like for me, like if I look from outside, it's an exercise. I think like maybe this rule would happen that okay, it's a party for men to like leather to fuck each other. And then she wouldn't be interested in being there. So that would be kind of protecting her. Like, look, this is like, there's nothing for you here. Like, you are not.
Why couldn't she? I mean, I know a lot of women that watch gay porn. Like, why couldn't she?
I know exactly. But like, think like go outside, go on top of the umbrella and look down. Just like maybe in the general ideas, like this party is not for her. Like some women like to watch gay porn, blah, blah, and then but then it becomes like something like we are protecting the people who are having sex from voyeur, but then men could be voyeurs there, right?
Dude,
voyeurism
is 100%, like, because people will say otherwise. Voyeurism is 100% part of like the BDSM experience.
Of
like,
course, yes. Totally.
Just like being an exhibitionist is.
Yeah, so it's very weird. It's odd. I find odd that she was kicked out. But I have been to parties where I know, like, because I have many gay friends. My best friend is a gay man, and I have been with him to parties where I was one of the only women, maybe a few trans women around, like, and I had fun the same. I danced the same. But then we're not sex parties, so I don't know. Maybe, but most of them were not sex parties, I guess. So maybe they were thinking about the actual doing of things. It wouldn't be interesting for them to have a woman there. Maybe it's a turnoff. Maybe they have mommy issues. Maybe I don't know.
I think
it's just a thing like. But I also sorry, I'm shaking the table again. I also think, like, I understand like how the rule starts, but I don't understand how it's not questioned later. Like,
well, but so I'm saying this point to illustrate when you talk about places where you would say men aren't allowed. I have the same. I mean, to me, I have the same issue.
Yeah, but don't go there. It's not true. That's not fair, because this is the thing. It's the punch up, punch down all over again all the time. It's just like men have been oppressive to the gay community, to LGBTQIS+, and to women and to many. So there is this thing of creating safe spaces. I don't think there's a woman she would be a threat.
I think that's like a very woman-centric thing to say. Like how obviously these guys felt threatened by her. That she got kicked out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
For sure. I don't know that, but there's no history of women. No, oppressing gay men. Of course, there is.
No, I mean
really.
I don't identify as a gay man, but like I've been raped by a woman, I've been punched in the face by a woman, I've been stalked by women, and so much of this is a big problem too. Is, do you know that like the biggest, at least according to like I think it's actually the CDC, or it's either the CDC or the FBI that collects this data, but like the biggest amount of domestic violence happens in female and lesbian relationships, not male,
not
female.
The biggest. I don't know where. I don't know where you got this statistics. That's impossible.
No, why? Tell me why, and I'll tell you exactly why this is.
But maybe in America, maybe in San Francisco. I don't know where this data is from. Maybe
it's in the United States.
Yeah, because not all over the world the data is not this one, my friend.
So the reason why is because, just like you said, women can't be threats. Women always have this viewpoint.
No. I mean, I was talking about history. I know women can be threats.
But let me.
But this is statistically, you cannot say.
It is 100, because I'll tell you exactly why. Women feel like they can't be the threat, so women will hit other women. I know tons of my lesbian friends that are like, "Oh yeah, well she hit me, but it doesn't count if a woman does it."
I have lesbian friends who've been in abusive relationships. Yeah. I know.
And women, and it doesn't count if a woman hits a child, but if a man hits a child, it counts. And so
it does count.
Of course it counts. And so I'm saying when you look, people don't frame it that way. So when you actually look at the data, the highest rates of domestic abuse happen in lesbian relationships, because they don't consider it so bad when a woman hits a woman. And I'm just telling you statistically that that's true. It's also, I'm serious. It's also, if you go out walking with a woman, it's much more dangerous as a guy because guys are willing to hit other guys far more than women. So, like, the amount of attacks on
But
men,
why?
because they feel like that it's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying it
Why?
sucks.
Why do they feel it's socially acceptable? That's
Because
what I say.
because women complain all
You
the
think
time about it. Because women
no, it's
don't.
not because of
Because women don't think that
because
they can be domestic
historically
abusers.
society is what happens. Men kill women, men hit until the women are dead, men cut their, like, there's the horrible stories, like statistics say. So it's so different. It is cannot be correct that the highest
Well, you can
rates
deny. You
are
can
in
deny.
lesbians.
See, this is the
It's
problem. This is like this
impossible.
is
It's
this is like this
impossible.
this is like where Trump people come from, where they're like, I'm not going to believe the statistics.
No, no,
Like,
no, because I've seen other statistics from all over
I'll,
the world.
I'll,
If you are
I'll,
looking at
I'll,
statistics, no, I've seen statistics of, like,
All right.
feminicide, or how do you say this in English? The specific killing of women by partners or known
Fuck, I don't know.
people.
I don't know.
Yeah, so now in Brazil there is a category now, a law that is specifically condemns men who kill their partners,
Yeah, I don't.
women
I
that
don't.
are killed by people who men who know them.
I don't know. I don't know about murdering. I mean, I know certainly like with gang violence, it's male on male predominantly, and shootings and so forth. But I'm talking about just walking down the street getting physically assaulted. Like, it's actually in that sense statistically more dangerous to be a guy, because men. If you and I were walking together and we were going to get
They
robbed,
wouldn't hit me, they would hit you.
yeah.
But why? Why? Because men are violent.
What?
This is it. This is the
So it's my fault that I'm getting. It's my fault I'm getting
No,
assaulted.
yeah, it's oppressive to men. Patriarchy is oppressive to men as
Oh,
well.
for fuck's sake! This is.
It is oppressive. This is not interesting. This conversation
No.
is not
I'm
so
just
interesting
saying I
because
don't
we're
like
never
this.
gonna agree.
I don't like this. I don't like the narrative that, like, if there's a debate or discussion or some instance of oppression between a man and a woman, that it's always the man's fault and the women can do no wrong.
But then it's not a woman that will hit the other men. The men. It's a man that will hit the other.
You know, like, if you talk about like walking down the street and you feel
so you are absolving one man that is in danger because he was walking with a woman, but you are not thinking that who is committing the violence is the man that is hitting the other man. Like
no,
there are two men.
No. Oh, no. Wait. That's the other. That's the other interesting thing with this this like CDC data is.
I really want to.
I'll link.
with this discussion without looking. No,
I'll link. I'll link.
I'll
I'll link to it in the episode, and I'll send it to you.
No, because I want to see this study before we continue this conversation, because it sounds.
When they would ask questions like, have you ever had sex with a partner when you didn't want to? Has your partner ever pressured you into having sex? Have you ever? The men would never frame this as like assault, like, because men can't be raped by women is the thought. But if you turn it around and you ask these questions frequently of women, they'll be like, oh, this was bad.
Yeah, but this is a new thing, because before, sex with the husband, even if it was forced, was not considered. Sex on a date, even if it was forced, was not considered rape. So now it's a new thing. It's a new interpretation of things. It's very recent, Eric. This is very recent. That's why I say we cannot skip steps.
Right. But I'm just saying that. So, for instance, like, I talk openly about like having been raped and assaulted, and these are all different women, by the way. The amount of times women have taken swings at me and not hit me, like not connected because I dodged it, like way more than I've ever gotten in physical altercations with guys. I've had women, and because they're like, oh, it doesn't count, it's okay. You know, like, the whole stereotype of like the woman taking like the rolling pin in the kitchen and hitting the husband over the head and all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's considered funny and it's not serious. And I just think that it's not this black and white thing where the man is always bad. I mean, like, the times I've been like emotionally fucked with and all sorts of like, you know, shit, like, men and women bring different horrible things to the table. I don't think anyone's an angel and anyone's a devil. Like,
yeah, but you were talking about statistics, Eric. This is what is complicated for me.
Well, all right.
because this is
Well,
not the majority of cases. It's impossible. It's
why is it?
impossible.
It's because it's so hard for it to fathom. Like,
No, because historically, there is a power. There's a power dynamic.
I will find. So what we're looking for, I'll find it. After
Yeah.
but the lesbian relationship thing, and
Maybe they are in high rates, but they're not highest rates. Change the. It's
I'm
very
about to
difficult.
I'm gonna blow your mind with some data after this. I promise.
Yeah. I'm really curious.
All right. So you moved to
Okay,
Berlin.
so can we stop and then I will get some water and then we start something.
That's fine.
One second.
Yeah. Okay.
One second.
All right. The whole thing that got us into that was that I was just saying that I get annoyed when people like and Europeans point to the US and they're like, "Oh, we're so much more progressive than you." And it's like, honestly, your like gender roles are so much more reinforced here than in the US, where it's like this is, even in the language, like the gendered language, like yeah. So I mean, obviously no country is fucking perfect, but like I feel quote unquote being a man so much more than I ever would in the US. Because I feel like that's the way that people
But you
view
lived in San Francisco and New York.
and Chicago.
Yeah.
But I traveled all over. I mean, I'm in Berlin. I'm in Berlin, Germany. This should be like the most progressive place you would think in the world, but it's not. Like
Yeah.
um
We started because I started speaking about Portugal, right?
Well, we were talking about your journey to Berlin, and then I asked you about your feelings on
Yeah, and
Portugal.
I also like in Portugal, I think also what happened is like I am from São Paulo, so it's kind of a big place. Kind of 23 million people, I think.
23?
Yeah, the greater area, I think, is 23.
Wow.
Yeah, something like this. I don't know. I will another number we should check. Um, and I moved to Portugal, which I feel like, as I described, countryside in Brazil. It even looks like, because the way they colonized Brazil, they've made like the geography look very much like.
Yeah.
And I wasn't okay with living in a smaller place. Porto, the bigger area of Porto, like the greater Porto is 1 million inhabitants, I think. I'm shaking again. 1 million inhabitants, and the actual area, Porto area, is like 400,000, and this is small for me. Like I realize I don't like. I really love the anonymity of the city, and I really miss that. In the way that like, even though I like going to the same bar and meeting people and have being friends with the bartenders or whatever, yeah. I like that, but the day-to-day like kind of vigilance of like how you will behave and who you are, I hate it. So I really like that people don't recognize me where I go.
Yeah.
Don't like. I really love being anonymous.
Yeah.
Said I get the person with the at Maila.
Yeah.
But anyway,
follow her
I
on
really
Instagram.
like no, not really. No, don't need to. I just like, I like this invisibility thing. This like, it's very freeing that once you realize people are not really paying attention. Like if you don't call, like really ask for attention, they don't find you so easily. So I like that.
Yeah.
And so coming to Berlin was a big relief. Like my first week here was just breathing, like, oh wow, this is here. I'm so invisible here. Like nobody looks.
Yeah.
Some people really suffer with that here, this invisibility, but not. This is the thing I prefer.
I feel though like I can, and maybe this is just me, and maybe it's because I don't speak German. Like I can see myself mainly staying in my neighborhood, like in Neukölln. Like,
but this is your choice.
Well, yeah, sure. I just mean like, well, and I mean, yeah, you're like pretty far away. Like, yeah. But like that is like a real discouraging thing for me. Like when I see, oh, there's this show and it's a 50-minute train ride to get there. I'm like, oh my God. Like, because I
Yeah,
think
but
about
for me, I don't feel it because it's just the public transportation here is so good. You can get anywhere, and we have the student passes. We like it's really like free, almost.
well to
And
me
we
yeah, that's not pleasurable to like sit on a train for an hour and
mhm.
like and then know that I have to do it coming home at night. Like, ugh, yeah.
Yeah, but did you do this in New York as well?
No, you'd pretty much. I mean, sometimes, but you'd pretty much like I was in Brooklyn, and I would very rarely go to Manhattan.
Yeah,
Um,
so you did the same. Yeah, you
but
are a neighborhood guy.
no, but that's true for most people. Like, would they be like, "Oh fuck, I got to go into
Oh
Manhattan,"
yeah,
or like even
I
in
know.
San Francisco, ugh, I got to go to Oakland. Like, you end up kind of
Human
staying.
beings are provincial, I guess.
Well, it's honestly, yeah, I think it's just the time thing. Like, if I could teleport there, like I would. But
Yeah.
so all this to, and then like I like a certain type of bar, right? Like I like these like dive bars and like kind of punk rock feel. So I think will end up running into a lot of the same people. Um,
Of course, but this is it. Like when you stay in your own neighborhood, of course you're gonna meet people.
yeah,
But that's what I don't do. Like of
yeah,
course I now know a little bit. There's pity across the street. I know my neighbors because I've been living in the same apartment now. Oh, next week it will be 2 years that I'm here in the same apartment, and I so now I know people. Like I kind of know like, but I also don't, apart from like corona times, whatever, I don't allow myself to be so lazy to go places. Sometimes I say, okay, yesterday was raining. I said, I'm not gonna go across town, then maybe I come back in rain as well, like in 3 hours. I'm not gonna do this. But usually I go to places, I go meet people, you know.
yeah.
And it's I think it's a personal thing. And also like I see like on when we go on dating apps, people have a very, very tiny range.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and this is like also it's comfortable to date people that are around you, I guess. That's why the feature exists. But I just think like people uh, uh, human beings tend to create the province around them, like they
yeah,
want to have like familiar things. I personally am not so much like this. I have my friends, I love all of them. I have, they know my history. But at the same time, I don't mind not knowing people in a place. Like
yeah.
I really don't mind. I
I
like it. I like the feeling of being alone in a place full
so
of
when you
people.
so when you came to Berlin, like you're like, okay, I'm feeling this vibe more.
Yeah.
What
But it
were
was
what?
really weird because I like when I was in Portugal, I had to renew my visa like 3 times in 2 years. Like now they changed because of Corona, they made things more practical, but like it was like a lot of paperwork. And then everybody said, "Oh, German bureaucracy, it's so hard, so hard." And it seemed like Berlin was waiting for me
Yeah,
because I found a room where I stayed for 10 months before I found this apartment. And with a friend of a friend, which is how things happen here, I guess. And then the next week I had to figure out my visa because I still was in my Portuguese visa when I arrived. And then I started putting papers together, and the termines in the Ausländer Behörde like was super hard to find. And then I just tried to find someone who would translate things for me to help
yeah,
me with paperwork and go with me to the agencies. And then I'd start talking to this girl that's super nice actually, Julia, and she said, "Look, if you have your paperwork ready by Monday, this was like Wednesday. If you get your amendung and everything that you need by Monday, I have a termin here that my other client is not able to attend, so we can use that for you."
yeah.
So in like 10 days, I had my visa for 3 years.
That's
So I
awesome.
only have to deal with this again in October.
Yeah,
So this was like, my God, I think they were waiting for me because
yeah,
everything seemed so right. It was such a lucky sequence of events. So I went, I got my amendo, I got the paperwork. Like with the woman, of course, there was someone speaking German, so she was super nice.
yeah,
And because I know some people are not very well treated when they go not speaking German. And then the woman said, "Oh, but you didn't put your mother's passport." passport here. Oh, I have here a picture. Oh, email it to me. So I did. I sent her the email with my mother's passport picture, like right there at the moment. Like, so it seems so easy. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the place where I'm supposed to be. Like, that was my feeling, like I was relieved and was really excited to be here, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had you started taking German at that point?
So I started, so I arrived in October. I only started my first German course in January. So, and then I stayed there for 3 months because I thought I could do German in the morning, one class in the university, and then write my Portuguese thesis in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't realize German would take so much of my brain.
Yeah.
So I studied, but I had zero. I had zero German, zero, zero, zero. I had no idea, like, and so I started from like numbers and hello and stuff.
Yeah.
And so and then I only went like for 3 months. I did January, February, March, and then I stopped because then I needed to write the thesis, and then I found a job, and everything started becoming harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people ask you like, "Oh, describe Berlin," like how would you describe Berlin to other people, and then just like the German culture in general?
Oh, German culture, I don't know because I don't think Berlin is such example, such an example of German culture. But I like I am always very careful. I try to be very careful. Like, I don't want to offend anyone. Like, this is my life. And so I always ask things when I have to do. I always ask if I could, if I can, if it's okay, if I should bring someone who speaks German with me, this kind of thing. This is an important thing. I would describe Berlin as a very it's possible to tailor the city for you. I guess there's something for everybody. If you like nature, there are the lakes and the tracks and things so close that you can get with the S-Bahn. And if you like architecture, there's a whole other exploration to be done here. If you like history, there's a whole other thing. If you like the nightclubs, there's a huge scene that you have to understand. You have to learn how it works. There's a whole culture, like there are lots of rules, lots of how to be in, at least until the door, and even inside. Sometimes they really, there is a set of like a code of conduct, I guess. So this is like you find and you learn. Some people challenge that and they don't adapt because I think it's very, sometimes it can be invisibly strict.
Yeah.
But I I think I've met so many different people, like with different tastes here in these 3 years. I I have a friend, she doesn't like nightclubs at all, and then there's this another group of friends that only go to these clubs that are open the whole weekend. Some of them even left Berlin during Corona because there's no point for them to be here. Like, for me, it's just such a complete city with this access, like to have like, okay, you're stressed, you just will go to the park around the corner because there are so many parks everywhere and lakes and everything. Like you have access to this kind of connection to nature, even though it's like, and then you also have this city aspect, the cultural aspect. Like there's so many film festivals happening all the time, theater, museums, history, anything you want, it's here. Like you find, like it's very, and maybe because I was for 2 years quite starved for culture in Portugal, like they like like even the cinema, like I couldn't really watch everything that I wanted. Like there was showing for even like Cannes festival, they didn't show all the Cannes festival films there. Like, and I was like, I want, and then here in Berlin, you find it all, I guess. Like it's very varied.
I
Very
I
varied.
I need to like I need recommendation. Oh, laundry's done. I need recommendations for like the lakes to go to because I've described Berlin as a very like industrial, like gray, like not pretty city. Um,
Mm.
just and this is partially why I left. Well, it's a big part
But
of why.
also because you don't go in Desban, you just walk around and you are in your neighborhood.
Well, no, I mean, I just don't know. I need, this is what I'm saying. I need like
Yeah.
recommendations of where to go. Like, even like people are like, oh, but Tempelhofe, that's a park. And I'm like, it's a park that was an airport. Like, and it looks like a park that was an airport. Like, it's
Yeah,
not,
I don't think they are not even allowed to plant the trees there, I think.
yeah, I don't
There's a
know.
whole legislation thing about it. Like to turning to a actual park, they cannot do it for
Yeah.
some reason. Um,
But yeah, I need to figure out where the,
so for my birthday this year,
yeah.
one of the presents I got was a little booklet of 64 uh, uh, day excursions with the S-Bahn.
Yeah.
You can go around Berlin just to see the lakes and all the rides. And maybe we can explore that. I can show you that and give you some ideas.
Yeah, for sure. And because especially before the weather like really turns,
Yeah. October it will be super dark, but it's still possible to do stuff. Just,
yeah.
it's gonna change. You know that.
How do you say lake in German?
Z.
Z?
It's the same as for sea. Yeah. It's
Okay.
the same word, but
Z.
but the sea is feminine, I think, is diese. The lake is masculine, der See.
Why we got to have that patriarchy in the language, you know?
Well, like Latin languages are also gendered. So.
I know.
You are the one not used to it, so. Why is a Porsche a she then? Explain to me. If you are so ungendered, a Porsche and also a boat, they are she.
That probably descends from some sort of Latin tradition.
No.
I don't know. I've never think, by the way, that's like such an, like, I don't know anyone who owns a boat or like I've never even, when you said that, I was like, is that true? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but this is does not impact day-to-day life for most people about their boat.
Yeah. There's a lot of patriarchy in that, right?
I don't know. The
masculinity performance,
I guess.
Yeah.
I think of a ship as something that is strong and can survive and carry does so much work, you know. I don't think of it as like a.
I don't think the ship is a she. I think the boats, the yachts, are she's.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me turn this really quickly. I think this will still work if I talk into the microphone. Hold on, I got to take this out. I just want to turn off the laundry machine because it keeps beeping. Is this the same because in Albania and in Turkey and in Spain it was the same? So maybe I guess the U.S. is the weird place. Although in South, well, yeah, you can speak obviously to South America. Is it normal that the laundry machine is always in like the kitchen or the bathroom?
In Europe, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I really miss, like in Brazil, it's very common that the houses have a laundry area.
Like
where you have a special sink for laundry, and you also have it's a laundry room with like the ropes for you to put your clothes. Like it's really like it's very. I miss the most that I miss is the actual little, we call it in Portuguese, we say tanque, is like the sink for you to wash your shoes, you know. And so I find it odd, like, but I think it's mainly because the way like things here, like architecture is so old, like bathrooms were added later.
That's super fascinating. I don't know if you and I talked about this, but like, and I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, but like, yeah, basically just for the listeners, like old Berlin, and I guess in other places in Europe too, but like, at least I know for Berlin, like they used to not have toilets, like bathrooms in the apartment. They would either be in the courtyard, or and
go outside,
and this is like really fascinating to me. They would be in like the stairwell in between floors. So like in between the second and third floor, there would be like,
because the plumbing would be from outside, so they would do the opposite.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I have to look for it, but I guess if you go into some buildings, you'll see like sealed off doors and like in like the center of the stairwell, and that's where
Mm.
like that used to be the toilets. So if you look, unless it's like a really new building, almost every bathroom is right next to the kitchen. And
Yeah.
it's because they used to like where like the pantry was or like a closet, they
Yeah.
would convert the plumbing. And this is, I think, also where you get the term like water closet from.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably. Yeah. Is
yeah,
where the pipes go.
and it's why like in this place and like my friend's place, like it's such skinny and like the toilets will be at weird odd angles and like sometimes you have to climb over the toilet to get to the shower and stuff because there's just not a lot of space in the
Yeah.
bathrooms.
There's this is stories like I've seen people saying like many people you have to climb over the toilet to get you sometimes to your bedroom like
Yeah,
depending on
yeah,
how it is. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's a common story in Berlin here and also in Europe, in many places in Europe. Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
one.
One thing that I miss like also in Brazil, like we have lots of like we have drains in the mid, not only in the shower, but we also like in the bathroom. We can actually wash the bathroom to clean it. Also
Yeah.
the kitchen, usually the floor is a little bit washable, and but
Hmm.
then you would need a drain. So
Yeah.
and here, if you drop water on the floor, you have to dry it with blood. Like it's really like you cannot just push the water to the drain. It's really
Well,
intense.
but so one problem with that though, at least if the plumbing is not done, if it's old plumbing, and this happened in Albania, in Turkey, and in Spain, is if there's not an S, it's I think it's called an S trap. So basically a curve where there's always little water sitting in the pipe, and
Mm-hmm.
that plugs the smells. Like otherwise, old plumbing it goes directly down to the street, and the problem is then literally the sewer gas comes up and it
Oh,
smells
okay.
like methane and shit in your bathroom. And they actually have like little covers you put on it um, to keep
Mm.
the smell out. But like that was very unpleasant in like the hot, humid Albanian like summer. Like just um, what's your so okay? I mean, these are just I'm adjusting still to Germany and Berlin, right? Like you have, some years on me here. Um,
Yeah.
I I was at this bar
I'm
last night.
also adjusting.
Yeah, well, so I was at this bar last night, and it's actually one of my favorite bars in Berlin. Um, and there's a stereotype of Germans, but specifically Berliners, like kind of being rude.
Okay.
Have you not heard the stereotype before?
Uh, I, yeah, for me, the stereotype of them, like the people who work at places, the service. I mean,
Yeah,
they are famous for being rude. Like
yeah,
outside Berlin, this is not German culture. This is a very Berliner thing, I think.
yeah. So,
Like as
so
if they are doing you a favor. I've heard many times. Yeah.
supposedly they didn't have a word, like literally the word customer service didn't exist, so they had to like invent it based like from like English, the English word or
But
something.
then you come from the other extreme where customer service is all the US was famous for a while.
Yeah, so I was in this bar last night, and there was a woman who I thought was speaking with an American accent. I was standing waiting by the bar, and she was sitting with a guy. The guy was like here, and then the woman was next to him. And I thought she was speaking with an American accent, so I was kind of trying to hear. And I was like looking at her for like 3 seconds, and I'm being like really 3 seconds. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and in that short time, she's like looked at me like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, like I just moved here. I thought I heard an American accent." And she was like, basically like fuck off. And I was like, okay. And I didn't need to move. I was just standing at the bar to order. But like, I just, when you hear and you're new to a place and you hear English and you hear this accent, you're like, you key in on it. And so fast forward to later, I'm sitting at this table and she's with this guy, and he starts like yelling at her, and like they're in a fight, like a verbal fight. And he like gets off the stool and like backs up to like yell at her, and he bumps into these two other girls that are like walking in. They're just entering the bar, and by bumping into them, her mask like kind of falls off. And then the woman, like the one who like was whatever rude to me, instead of like being like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," or the guy saying, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," she said, "Can you keep your mask on in the bar?" And it's like literally her boyfriend just like knocked into this woman. She was doing, and this poor girl was just like, she just didn't know. She just like made eyes at me like, whoa, what the fuck is this? But like, I just
Yeah.
couldn't believe that
I
that was the.
sometimes find like this culture of, yeah, finding what is wrong with the other is a very, like, even like I've tried to find like some German humor,
Hmm.
which is difficult to adjust for me. Like, and I really always find like their jokes, even like they have a show that is kind of their last week tonight of here is, I think, is the Heute show or something like this.
With
Like,
Jan Boomerman.
yeah, and all their jokes, that the ones that I saw, I didn't see them all, but all their jokes are about what the others are doing wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't
There's
watched the show.
no self-criticism, like there's no self-awareness. It's just like about other. So the funny part is what the other people are doing wrong,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting way to think, I guess.
From a humor standpoint, I mean, I think both can be funny. Like, speaking from like, I definitely criticize myself, but I also criticize a lot of other stuff. Like, I don't know. I think both can be funny, but I understand. I mean, the whole concept of like the word like Schadenfreude, like that you are
Yeah,
like getting pleasure out of like the misery of others.
yeah.
Like, sehr deutsch. Um, but yeah, like, hey,
Yeah.
were there any particular like struggles that you recall having?
For this, no, because this is the thing. The only struggle, I was with you actually. The first time like someone
Oh my
almost kicked me
god,
out of a
yeah,
place.
that was
Um,
nuts.
that was no, yeah, and I was so drunk, and I remembered this because I felt horrible. I was trying to say sorry from the first minute. I never meant to offend anyone. Anyway, disclosure. But I just like, I am very like, I try to be careful only when I'm drunk. Of course, I kind of am a tractor, but
You did nothing
but
wrong that night. You did nothing wrong that night. Like
okay,
that woman
thank you
was
for saying that.
crazy. I'm serious.
Yeah, but that's why. But this is like, maybe I kind of became a little bit more sober when that happened, because like it kind of sobered me out for a second. Like I came back to myself. Like, did I do it? Like I was questioning myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I usually am very careful. So if I have to do something like with like public agencies, or if I have I ask for permission a lot, which is something of my personality. I would like I and this sometimes keep me from doing stuff,
Yeah.
like because I am afraid of doing it wrong, and then I end up not doing it at all because I didn't find out it was so simple. Like people are just going there and doing it, Maila. Why did you have to wait for permission to do this? So I don't have examples of many examples of things like this happening to me. Um, but yeah, of course, I had some. Can you say gaffes?
I don't know.
Like I making some. This is like etiquette mistakes, like I have
Yeah.
like many times. Like I remember like going to a club with a friend that doesn't live here, and she's always very well put up, like she very like produced,
Makeup and
like
all
her
that.
hair,
Yeah.
makeup, big earrings,
Yeah.
which you don't see in clubs here in Berlin. Like it's kind of a no. And we
Interesting.
were going in the afternoon to get the stamp, and we would dance a little bit, and then we would go back at night. And I was wearing my black like clothes, like very like, and it was just the two of us. If we had more friends, I think it would have gone easily. But
Yeah.
and then because I was so apologetic, I had been in that club many times, so I had no problem saying like, no, I'm coming to see whatever DJ. Like
Yeah.
my friends are already inside. I could just have said that, but because I was so apologetic when I arrived, and then he looked at her, and clearly she doesn't go out so much in Berlin because she's not from here. Like clearly, she was not dressed like the uniform of Berlin clubs anyway. And then he he said, I'm still not sure if you should come in. And I'm
This
like,
is
but I
such
think,
this angers me. This is such
and that,
bullshit.
yeah. And then this was like, because this is how I feel. He was just reading my mind, because I always feel like maybe I shouldn't go in any club because I feel inadequate most of the time in my life. And then suddenly there, it was just the personification of that. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I'm still not sure. I said, but, and then I just, he came to like, but why? My friends are in there. I have been here before. Like, I'm not going to do anything wrong. And then he said, oh, all right. And then he gave me a stamp. Later that night, I came back and I was my tractor. I was super drunk,
Yeah.
like, because I was after a party that I drank rum, something I don't do anymore. And I came back, and it was funny because my friend who was with me in the afternoon and saw me walking in later at night, like everybody in the line, and I had the stamp. I said, no, we've been here before. We have to go in. Like, and I was just this big tractor. And so this is the thing, like the inhibition was down. And then I usually am very apologetic for everything. I'm sorry, buddy. And that's why it's rare that I feel this. I don't do it. I just choose not to do what I'm not sure.
But I think bouncers here more than any place I've been, like
Yeah.
get off on rejecting people. Like they get this power trip with them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah. I haven't said it on stage. I'm trying to work on this. I mean, it's just like a quick throwaway joke, but like talking about like, oh, like Berlin, like we're so unique, like we think for ourselves. Make sure to wear all black and obey the red man. Like just this like really
But
like
there
how
is like, but if you go to the queer scene, like not so much the techno scene, like but if you go more queer, it's really about like many people trying to stand out of this, like, so it's interesting. There's a big dialogue on this, but then if they want to enjoy the techno, they conform somehow, or
Yeah.
if they are queer enough, they look like cool enough, they said, okay, you are Berlin, you can go in because you own the scene. So the thing is, I don't feel like I own. I am not cool. I'm not a cool person. I've never been. I don't feel cool. Like, and so I think they look at me and they will say, too square. So I try to be as invisible as possible so they don't judge me. And that's why I go for the uniform,
Yeah.
for the black, everything.
Yeah.
But if I owned the Berlin coolness and hypeness and whatever queerness, I maybe wouldn't care so much. But if I want to enjoy it, because there are some there are fun parties that you can miss because you don't conform, you know.
Yeah.
So this is the choice.
I spent I briefly dated this girl in Leipzig, and like I went there whatever 3 times. That's about as long as it lasted. But like but she showed me these like scenes that actually were very like independent, like almost like Burning Man culture, like lots of color and like cool,
Yeah.
like Mad Max, like
Mm-hmm.
what's it called? Steampunk kind of like cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't know. I mean, she's maybe biased because she lives there, but like she said that like Leipzig is kind of like what Berlin was like 15, 20 years ago, and like that there's a big like alternative scene there and stuff like that. So I you know, obviously I have so much more of Berlin to explore. But I found that interesting. Like I read like on the you know, like the local, like this like news site, the local. They have it. It's an English language paper, but they have it in every European country. So there's the local.de, the local.es, the local, you know. And
I doubt they have a PT one, a Portuguese one.
they might.
I will check. Okay.
But
People forget Portugal is in Europe.
But they they just announced like in the last 5 years, like Berlin rents or something have increased like 54%. Yeah. Some crazy number.
Not even 5. I think even shorter than this, because there was this big discussion.
Yeah.
And now we lost.
The Mietendeckel?
It's gonna go up. Yeah. It was the last capital that had this kind of control, I guess.
Yeah.
In Portugal, it was insane as well. The last 5 years, like I arrived in 2016. You could find a room for 200 euros easily.
Oh my God.
Before that, I had friends who paid 120 because they had rented 1 year before me.
Yeah.
Um, and then now you can't find a room for less than 350, 400 euros. Like it's really like only if you know about an old contract and like new up, like it doubled in Lisbon because there's all this digital nomad thing, like
Yeah.
all these gringos going there with outside money to stay in Lisbon.
Yeah.
The rent, like it's like usually like 3 times the minimum wage. Like it's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It's
This
really
woman I
bizarre.
met the other night, I saw her. She has this incredible apartment, like not like super newly remodeled, but like definitely not like. I mean, where I'm at now, I'm looking. It's like green floors from like the '70s. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the her place is definitely like maybe
Yeah.
15 years old or something. She moved there, I think, 8 years ago. She has a big living room, her own little backyard with a garden and like a balcony, a big kitchen, like totally separate kitchen, a good sized bedroom, uh, and it's just a really nice place. And her rent is 450 in
Okay. Yeah.
Neukölln, like right off Wesselstrasse.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. So my apartment, because when I rented it, the meet decker thing,
yeah,
the rent control
yeah,
thing was a big discussion.
yeah,
So they made me sign because then many people were applying to have their rent reduced.
yeah,
And then they made me sign a paper that people said was illegal, but anyway I signed because am I
yeah,
going to say no to an apartment that wants me anyway? I They made me sign something that I would not apply, saying that the rent here had not be corrected since 2015.
okay,
So I should just, so much so that when they had the meet deca, that so many people last year from December to March paid like a lower amount
yeah,
because of this general meat decker. I only got like 80 euros reduced, which is not much. Some people got like 400, 300 because
yeah,
of like market value
yeah,
being so different.
yeah,
So I just got 80. So I don't think it's that wrong, like in terms. So I'm fine and quiet with my rent, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Um, we'll wrap up here soon.
Yeah, I think this should be 2 episodes.
Oh no, you don't, Brett and I talked for 3.5 hours. Like
Yeah,
I had to cut so much of that.
yeah.
Um, but no, this is fine. This is this is a normal episode length for like a guest. I do have a question. Where am I supposed to dry my laundry? Because
You don't have like the little hanging thing that you set up.
it might be in the guy's bedroom, but he taped off his bedroom door. Like he's like was very clear about me not entering, which like I wouldn't have
So
entered.
hang on the doors, I guess,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
the chairs. But usually, like there is in the house something you set up. Like,
Like a clothing rack or something.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Do you want to? I have one here. I can show you a model. You can.
I know,
I
I know
think
what you're
you
talking about.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna go to vetting to get a clothing rack. Like,
No, no, I'm not gonna give you mine. I need it.
um,
Yeah, I, yeah, by the window.
yeah. Well, Maila, thank you for coming
Yeah,
on and talking and chatting. Do you
I
have
don't know.
anything you?
Yeah, is this interesting? I'm really wondering.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see if we get some feedback from it.
I can talk about so many other things.
Well, we'll have to have you back, and we can talk about other things too.
Oh yeah, we find a theme.
Yeah. Do you have anything you need to like you want to promote? You have your Instagram.
Meaning, no, not yet. No,
Okay.
not today. No.
All right. Well, for
Uh,
me, follow me at Eric on the
oh
World.
yeah. So yeah, if you want to talk to me, you can write to Maila FS, MAILAFS on Instagram, even Twitter. I have a Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And you now for you.
Yeah, yeah. So at Eric on the World, I think I have a comedy show coming up at Cosmic Comedy
Ah,
on, it's a ways away. I think it's on the 25th. Yeah, I'll talk about that in like a future episode as well. Anyway, yeah, I think that'll do it. So my little sign off phrase until next week, no matter where you are in the world, be well and be loved.
bye.
Romance threw itself off the 30th floor. Get up.